August 9th, 2021, 2:37 a.m. Police in Evanston, Illinois, forced their way into a quiet suburban home on Maple Avenue after a neighbor reported screams. Inside, they found James and Emily Warren, a respected attorney and a kindergarten teacher, stabbed to death in their bedroom. But the most disturbing part wasn't the brutality of the crime. It was who they found sitting beside the bodies. 19-year-old Chloe Davis, the couple's babysitter. She wasn't tied up. She wasn't injured. She wasn't a victim of the attack. She was holding Emily's blood-soaked nightgown in her hands, whispering, "I'll take care of them now." At first, detectives thought that she was in shock, but the investigation revealed something much darker. Cole hadn't just been babysitting the Warren children. She had been living inside their home, sleeping in their bed, wearing Emily's clothes, slowly trying to become the woman of the house. The Warrens trusted her with their children. They never realized she wanted their entire life. So, how does a teenage babysitter turn into a murderer? And how does obsession cross the line into possession? To understand, you have to go back to where Chloe Davis came from. Chloe was born in Peoria, Illinois in 2002. From the beginning, her childhood was defined by instability. Her parents' marriage disintegrated before she was 7. Her father drifted out of her life, leaving only empty promises and overdue child support. Her mother worked long hours at low-paying jobs, and Chloe spent most of her early years bouncing between relatives. In those homes, Chloe noticed something. Other families seemed different. Dinner tables where people laughed instead of fought, mothers who tucked kids in every night, fathers who showed up when they said they would. She didn't just envy it, she craved it. At 14, she discovered babysitting. For Chloe, it wasn't just pocket money. Babysitting gave her access to the one thing she wanted most: normalcy. Other kids saw chores. Chloe saw belonging. She folded laundry, swept kitchens, and lingered long after bedtime because she didn't want to go back to her own fractured world. Parents adored her. Kids clung to her legs when it was time for her to leave. She built a reputation as the teenager everyone wanted watching their children. She was perfect, one neighbor remembered. Responsible, sweet, you couldn't ask for better. By 17, Chloe moved in with her aunt in Evanston and quickly became the neighborhood's most in-demand sitter. But in 2020, one call would change everything. A new family needed help. James and Emily Warren. 2 kids, Hannah, 7, and Caleb, 4. They were everything Chloe had ever wanted in a family. And from the very first night, it was clear she wasn't just watching them. She was studying them. And soon, she would try to replace them. For the Warrens, Chloe Davis was more than just a babysitter. She was almost family. Emily often told friends that Chloe felt like the daughter she never had. James appreciated how dependable she was, even if he sometimes felt she was around a little too much. At first, the couple thought Chloe's closeness was just gratitude, a lonely teenager soaking up the warmth of a stable home. But by early 2021, the line between babysitter and family member had blurred in unsettling ways. Neighbors noticed it first. She was there more often than Emily, one later said. If you didn't know better, you'd think she lived in the house. And in Chloe's mind, she did. She wasn't just caring for Hannah and Caleb anymore. She was rehearsing for a role. The changes started small. Emily bought a new perfume. Chloe began wearing it too. Emily cut her hair shoulder length. Chloe showed up a week later with the exact same cut. Then came the clothes. Emily's friends noticed Chloe arriving at school pickup in outfits nearly identical to Emily's. At first we laughed about it, one recalled, like, wow, she really looks up to you. But Emily didn't laugh. She felt watched, copied, almost replaced. Things escalated online. Chloe began posting TikToks filmed inside the Warren home, in the kitchen, on the back patio, even in Emily's bathroom. The captions were short and cryptic. Home sweet home, heart emoji, my family. When her aunt asked why she was never around, Chloe replied, I'm home with my family. She wasn't talking about her aunt. She was talking about the Warrens. James was the first to voice concern. "She's too attached," he told Emily one morning. "She's here more than we are. It's not normal." But Emily brushed it off. "She's just a kid who needs love. She doesn't have anyone else." Emily believed kindness would fix it. Boundaries, however, might have saved them. The breaking point came on a chilly March night in 2021. Emily returned from a PTA meeting earlier than expected. Upstairs, she found the bedroom light on. Inside, Chloe was asleep on her bed, wearing her nightgown. Emily froze. For a moment, it felt like walking into a nightmare, as if her life had been stolen while she was out. When confronted, Chloe smiled faintly and said she had just been so tired after putting the kids to bed. She didn't understand why Emily was upset. Emily did what many parents might do. She gave Chloe the benefit of the doubt. She told James they'd needed to set firmer boundaries. Fewer overnights, less access to the personal space. But for Chloe, boundaries weren't rejection. They were betrayal. The Warrens tried to create distance, but Chloe pushed harder. Late-night calls from blocked numbers, anonymous notes left on their porch. "I'll always be here." Hannah's favorite stuffed rabbit found ripped apart on the driveway. Emily confided to a friend that she was afraid. "It's like she thinks she belongs here. Like she won't let go." By summer, James had insisted they find a new sitter. Emily drafted a text, short and final. "We're grateful for everything you've done, but we've decided to make other arrangements for childcare." She hit send on August 8th, 2021. It should have ended there. Instead, that text lit the fuse, because Chloe Davis wasn't just going to leave. She was going to take everything. August 8th, 2021. At 9:14 p.m., Emily Warren pressed send on the text message she had been dreading for weeks. "We're grateful for everything you've done, but we've decided to make other arrangements for childcare." On the other side of town, Chloe Davis stared at her phone, motionless. To Emily, it was a polite, careful message. To Chloe, it was betrayal. A family cutting off their own daughter. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She simply began to plan. By midnight, neighbors' security cameras caught her outside the Warren home. Chloe paced the front walkway for over an hour, sometimes sitting on the porch steps, sometimes standing at the door with her hand hovering over the knob. At 1:06 a.m., she entered through the side door, a door she had used countless times before. She knew the code to the lock. She moved through the kitchen in silence as if it were still her home. Upstairs, James and Emily were asleep. Hannah and Caleb, safe in their rooms, had no idea their babysitter had come back. Chloe climbed up the stairs, slowly, pausing to glance at the family photos along the wall. Smiling faces. Beach vacations, school plays, a life she believed should have been hers. The attack was savage. Investigators believe Chloe entered the master bedroom at around 1:20 a.m. James was stabbed first, 14 wounds to the chest and abdomen, and likely before he was fully awake. Emily fought back. She screamed, scratching Chloe's arms before Chloe overpowered her. Emily was stabbed 22 times, the blade tearing through her nightgown, the same one Chloe had once been caught wearing. Forensics showed the murders lasted less than 5 minutes, but the aftermath stretched much longer, because Chloe didn't flee. She stayed. Instead of running, Chloe went into the children's rooms. She tucked them in carefully, kissed their foreheads, and read them the ending of the bedtime story she had started earlier that week, Goodnight Moon. When officers later asked Hannah what she remembered, she said, "Chloe told us everything was okay. She said Mommy and Daddy were just resting." At 2:34 a.m., a neighbor called 911 after hearing faint screams and then silence. Officers arrived minutes later. They found Chloe curled on the bedroom floor beside Emily's body, her hands smeared with blood, rocking back and forth. When Detective Carla Ruiz asked her what happened, Chloe whispered, "They didn't appreciate what they had. They didn't deserve them, but I do. They're mine now." Her voice was calm, almost relieved. The children were escorted out of the house, still in pajamas, confused and dazed. Hannah clutched Chloe's arm as police pulled her away, asking, "Why are they taking her? She's our best friend." The crime scene was one of the most disturbing Evanston police had ever processed. Nothing was stolen, no evidence of forced entry. This wasn't a burglary gone wrong. This was something else. Detective Ruiz summed it up later in court. Chloe Davis didn't just kill James and Emily Warren. She erased them. She wanted their bed, their clothes, their children. This wasn't murder out of rage or desperation. It was murder out of possession. By dawn, the case was clear. The Warrens were dead, and their babysitter wasn't leaving. When police led Chloe Davis out of the Warren home in the early hours of August 9th, 2021, she wasn't crying. She wasn't struggling. She wasn't even asking questions. She was smiling. "Don't worry," she told one officer quietly. "I'll take care of them now." In the interrogation room, Chloe gave detectives what they described as a matter-of-fact confession. She admitted entering the Warrens' home. She admitted stabbing James and Emily. She admitted tucking the children back into bed afterward. But she didn't describe it as a murder. "They weren't real parents," she said flatly. "They didn't deserve that family. I did." When pressed, Chloe explained that she had been practicing to be Emily for months. Wearing her clothes, copying her handwriting, sleeping in her bed, she insisted that the children already saw me as their mother. Detectives left the room shaken. One described the interview as like talking to someone who had already built her own reality and was inviting us to step inside it. The trial began in late spring of 2022. The prosecution's case was simple. This was premeditated double homicide, driven by obsession. They presented Chloe as a predator who inserted herself into the Warren household, waited until she was indispensable, and then lashed out when rejected. This wasn't a burglary, Assistant State Attorney Kimberly Olson told the jury. This wasn't a cry for help. This was a hostile takeover. Chloe Davis didn't just want to babysit Hannah and Caleb. She wanted to replace Emily Warren entirely. The defense took a different approach. They argued Chloe suffered from borderline personality disorder rooted in childhood abandonment. A psychiatrist testified that Chloe's unstable upbringing left her desperate for attachment, incapable of tolerating rejection, and prone to identity confusion. She saw the Warrens as her perfect family, the defense claimed. When that was taken away, she experienced it as annihilation. Her actions were those of a profoundly sick young woman, not a cold-blooded killer. The courtroom was divided. Some observers pitied Chloe, describing her as a lost girl who had slipped into delusion. Others saw her as manipulative, a calculating young woman who weaponized sympathy to get close to the family she wanted. The most haunting testimony came from 7-year-old Hannah, shielded behind a privacy screen. She told the court how Chloe tucked her in the night of the murders. "She said everything was okay," Hannah whispered. "She said Mommy and Daddy were just resting and that she would take care of us." The jury needed only 5 hours of deliberation. Verdict: guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Sentence: life in prison without parole. Today, Chloe Davis resides in Dwight Correctional Center. Guards say she spends much of her time drawing. The sketches are always the same: family portraits. A smiling Chloe in the middle, Hannah and Caleb by her side. James and Emily are never included. Or if they are, their faces are scribbled out. In therapy sessions, Chloe continues to refer to the Warren children as her kids. When asked if she regrets her actions, she replies, "I regret that Emily didn't understand. I regret she wouldn't let me love them." For the Warren children, the aftermath is a different kind of sentence. They now live with Emily's sister in Michigan. Both attend therapy weekly. Hannah, now 9, reportedly refuses to let babysitters watch her or her brother. "They trusted Chloe more than anyone," a family friend explained. "The kind of betrayal. It doesn't heal quickly." The case of Chloe Davis forces us to confront an unsettling truth. Sometimes, the people we welcome into our homes, the ones we trust with our children, aren't who they appear to be. Sometimes, the babysitter isn't planning to leave when the parents return. Sometimes, she's planning to stay forever. The Chloe Davis case leaves us with one haunting question. Was she just a lonely girl desperate for love, or a predator who believed she was entitled to someone else's family? Medical experts call it an obsession. Prosecutors call it murder. But to the Warren children, Chloe was the babysitter who promised to keep them safe, and instead destroyed their world. What do you think? Was this the tragedy of a broken mind, or the cold design of someone who wouldn't take no for an answer? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more cases where love turns to obsession and obsession turns deadly, subscribe to Wicket Crime Stories, because sometimes the people we trust most are the ones we should fear.